From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Tom Papa. With Bald Bryan on sound effects, Mike Dawson filling in on news, and another round of March Madness. And now, a man who's never exhibited white silence, or any silence for that matter, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get it on. A mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you. Gina Grad's still out. She'll be back, I think, in a day or two. So good day, Bald Bryan.
The Adam Carolla Show. What's that?
Ugh. I heard that for the entire flight.
Shrill.
All right. I got stuff to get into. Tom Papa's going to join us. Always enjoy me some Tom Papa. Jam in the Van, Speakeasy. That'll be this Thursday on the 25th. We'll be doing stand-up. Adam Ray's going to do stand-up. Dawson's doing stand-up. And Max Zapata, his band, Maxie, is going to be playing as, well,
Maxie.
I have
They're doing Jim Dandy the Rescue.
I have a very funny Tom Papa clip to play for you guys. It's a famous bit of his that I really enjoy, and it just struck me. I heard it on the radio, a couple of years ago, but I told Max Pata to find that clip. We all got tested here for COVID because we just were filming this Netflix thing that has, it's a car thing, doing a car race. It's not my production, but I'll tell you guys more about that as we get closer to it. But everyone got tested. I think everyone's good. As far as I can tell, I haven't heard anything.
Rapid test, I have to assume. How long did the results take to get back?
I don't know, because I went in and did a pod and then I immediately left. So I have no idea how it turned out. But I'm guessing someone would have got hold of me if, in fact, we got the nose swab. Everyone complains about that one, but not so bad. I don't know. Maybe they're not going deep. I don't know.
It's one of those things like like porn. You'd know when you see it. Did it go up like past the nose, past the sinus into your brain, or did it just swab around the nose?
It is
a dramatic. Having had both, it is a dramatic difference.
I think it's the lesser one because it was a little irritating, but it wasn't devastating.
Feels like it got a couple knuckles deep, but not all the way. After it was done, I said that was slightly uncomfortable.
Yes.
Just slightly.
But kind of makes me think, and it's one of those things. The thing about the nose is there's not much of a science to it. The nurse goes up in there, and then she kind of stops where she thinks it's good, Yeah. And I would argue...
There's no ding.
I'd argue you could probably put a little stripe on the swab and say this is where it's going to, and it would vary from schnoz to schnoz, but
of course,
you'd at least know it wasn't going past that line, which would give you sort of the psychology of it is you don't know when she's going to stop, and that's the part that makes it so uncomfortable. But everyone got that, so everyone checked out.
I read a very lengthy and thorough and interesting New Yorker article over the weekend that was basically as much of a post-mortem as we can get on COVID at this point. Like I'm sure, there'll be more to the tale as years go on, but it was how did it get out of control? How did it get to where, or at least where it got to, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, as you can imagine, it's complicated. But one of the main issues was the lack of testing and the lack of rapid testing, especially early on. Think about how quickly we could have thrown a fire blanket over the whole thing if we had known, like, oh, this person, we took your test and 5 minutes later find out that you have COVID. No, you can't be admitted to this restaurant or sporting event or whatever it is. It was unfortunately one of the things that, spread the fire.
Well, the problem, with the testing, as we've talked about, is Drew, who got hit hard, was negative for his first 3 tests, I think, so
multi-testing too.
He got it. It didn't present for a number of days. So I think he was tested at least twice, but maybe 3 times negative before.
How many times?
3 times, fool.
3 times, fool, before it was positive. So even in that situation, I don't know. I mean, look, it couldn't hurt. I don't really, when it comes to tests and vaccines and stuff like that, everything is such short notice. It's such a tall order. I can't even believe we live in a society that can produce stuff this fast. I'm not really,
Indeed.
I kind of, I'm philosophical about it, which is these guys had 10 minutes to put together a test and 20 minutes to put together a vaccine, and they did it. It wasn't executed perfectly, and there's definitely room for improvement. But I don't know. We live in a society where a vaccine should take 3 years, and we got it in 7 months or whatever it is. I'll say I'm glad. I'm not going to find a lot of fault in the folks that did that.
Agreed. Well, when the tale's told year from now, when it's etched in stone, I think the incredible speed with what I've been reading, the incredible speed which the vaccine has been made and produced and distributed is going to be what prevented it from becoming a full global catastrophe.
All right, we have I want to play that Tom Papa Just for Laughs festival from 2010. It just made me laugh, and then you guys will go, oh, that Tom Papa.
The first time I saw my wife, I wasn't thinking, oh, she has good birthing hips, let me mount that. No, I was just thinking, new sex, yay! It's a powerful moment, isn't it? You see her, she sees you, there's that attraction. You convince her that you're not a rapist, that's a special night. She brings you back to her home and her room for the first time. A girl's room, is there anything more heavenly on earth? It's like a genie bottle in there. Pillows everywhere, you rub in the right spot, all your wishes come true. And you all work the rooms, different little touches, little tapestries on the dresser, little beads on the bedpost, weird bottles up on the shelves filled with nothing. It's like a magic castle. But then you get married and then you realize it's your room too. It's not cool, there's no mystery left. Then you realize she has all those empty bottles up there because she's lazy. And you don't have sex as often. It's still good, but not as often. You have a lot of free time. You got to fill in with a lot of yapping, a lot of yapping. Then you reach that point where you're like, I love you, I really do. But if you tell me that story about you in high school one more time, I'm going to bury you in the yard. And this is where the whole system kicks in. This is why you end up with kids. You need new material. You need someone else to talk to. And then you create the worst roommates on the planet. Horrible people to live with. Horrible. You ever open up a pack of M&Ms around little kids? They come at you like goats in a petting zoo. No hands, just heads. And that's what brings you back together. You're like, I hate them. I hate them too. Mine are getting better. I'm starting to like them. I didn't like them for years. They were awful. That whole baby stage is just annoying. They're little meatballs, you can't talk to them. It's just aggravating, isn't it? Yeah, we didn't eat in restaurants for 5 years because they don't want to eat in restaurants. And I thought, well, I'm the adult. I can tell them we're staying in a restaurant. No, that's not how it goes. They just stare at you. I want to leave. Well, your food's not here yet, honey. Well, I want to leave. And you're going to want to leave too. Ah! Not ready? Oh, think about it. I'm going to do it to this table. Ah!
The great Tom Papa. Yeah, that bit's like 10 minutes long, but it's really funny. So you guys should, we'll talk to him about that as well. He was also the host, I think, for the marriage ref that I did with Trump all those years ago.
The highest rated episode you
That's
watched.
right. You watch. So we will talk about that as well. So there was this thing going around, which was Biden slipped a couple of times on the stairs going up to Air Force One, and people were making fun of him and wondering if he was losing it and so on and so forth. And it was one of these things where I realized the excuse for the slip was actually worse than the slip. The slip, to me, is I think Air Force One has carpeted stairs going up to it. I don't know what their non-skid thing is, but
Plus the dress shoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's nothing worse than loafers that haven't been fully broken in, and these guys, first off, they should be wearing girls' volleyball shoes or wrestling shoes or something, something with some rubber on the sole, not the shiny leather on the sole. But Biden tried to make a trot up the stairs, and then Biden slipped a couple of times. And I think we can look at it. It looks like it's carpeted, right? It's got like a red carpet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can see where it ends on the end of the steps.
Yeah.
The sides, I mean.
So he started to kind of hustle it up because I think he was trying to show a little vim and a little vigor. Bryan is rebooting here. I got a
I'm
couple
not
of.
rebooting.
We're rebooting Bryan because our stupid internet. So. Again, we see this a lot where the excuse is actually worse than whatever took place. And wind.
What is the excuse in this case?
The wind knocked him over.
That's the only part I missed.
The wind knocked him over.
Yeah, again, I don't know how old he is, 78, 80, whatever. It's like, yeah, this is kind of what we expect. Like, you can just be like, sorry, I'm old.
Right.
We elected an old guy. We know what comes with the package.
Right. But do not say as an excuse he was blown over by the wind.
Right.
Because that sounds scarecrowy to me. That sounds
much worse.
Super feebly to me. All right. Somebody's got a question about freeway signs. Another one's got one about racing. I want to get in some hot rye bread talk coming up too, because I got thoughts. James from South Dakota. James.
Hey, gang. How's it going?
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy. So, I'd like to be a one-upper. I think South Dakota usually has their poop in a group, but this time I think we've topped California. We have signs that say think, or a sign that says why die whenever somebody dies via traffic accident. And so our state is littered with these black and white signs that just say think. And they're very condescending because they don't say, hey, this person drove too fast, or hey, this person didn't look left and now they're dead. And so our state is just littered with these metal memorials that I think tops California in some ways.
Well,
more existential than practical.
Yeah. Telling people to think is kind of like telling people to breathe. You know what I mean? When people go, you just got to breathe. Like, yeah, no shit. I do it in my sleep. I do it when I'm drunk. I do it drunk and in my sleep.
Hardly ever.
If you want me to think about it, I'm going to fuck it up and die. So it's like thinking about not biting your tongue when you're eating something. You're doomed to bite your tongue. California has been putting these. We're kind of done with the COVID signs I've seen out here. We're now in the 3,200 deaths on the freeway sign. Always bums me out. I always think about the 3,000 souls that have been lost, but also never affects my rate of speed. I do not change based on, I just look at those people as fools who didn't know how to handle their car.
Yeah, all the signs say like 3,255 traffic deaths this year. Watch your speed. And as you're sitting, maybe going 30 miles an hour in LA traffic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm watching my speed, whether I like it or not.
I'll bet you Tiger Woods looked up at one of those signs right before he went off the road. He was momentarily distracted. Yeah, we're looking at the think signs. Again, I could use a little more specific information other than the vague think. Max Zapata got a speeding ticket. What the?
Oh, man.
How fast were you going?
I was going 54 and a 35 down Riverside Drive, like
that'll get you
to the freeway. It was a total speed trap. I messed up.
It's all speed trappy, man. That's how they get you.
He was on the motorcycle, hiding behind the fence, and I saw him, and it was too late. You taught me a trick, Adam, about using my e-brake to kind of so my brake lights don't show, but I didn't think that fast.
Oh, yeah. Use the e-brake because once you zip past the cop and he sees you stomp on the brakes, that's an admittance of guilt. That means you saw him and you're now braking. So you didn't use the E?
Oh, man, it was an awful morning. So my tire blows out. I'm late to work. I'm texting you like, hey, man, I'm going to be late. I had to get my tire repaired. I'm running. I'm heading to work as fast as I could.
Haven't you seen the signs? Don't text and drive.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't. I texted him after I put the spare on, and I took it to the tire shop. And I was working out of the tire shop for the first couple hours of the day. And then once it got it replaced, went to work, got the speeding ticket, tried to do the sappy story about, my tire just blew out. I was supposed to be at work three hours ago. But he wasn't having it, and then he's like, "Look, if you want to fight it, this isn't an admittance of guilt, but you can go to court on this day in June." And I looked at him, I go, "Are you going to be there?"
I would, Chris. I don't normally say this, but you got to play the Asian card.
I thought
at this particular time in the history of this country, there's no other time you can
look.
play that
I
Asian
did look
card.
at him in the eye, and I went, I respect what you do. I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, that's right. Sitting
And
around and fucking hiding and
I
ruining
tried, but
taxpayers'
he
days.
wasn't happening. I asked him, and I tried to slightly just go like, "Hey, are you going to be there?" And he looked at me and goes, "I'm always there."
The thing about it is,
I'd argue that we're having this conversation on the side of the road.
the irony is everything is always safety, safety, safety. You sitting on a motorcycle wedged in between two parked cars, seeing you zip by and then throwing some revs and zipping out there and catching up to you as fast as you possibly can on a motorcycle before you turn the corner. I would say that is the most dangerous aspect of what transpired.
He popped right out.
You driving at your speed, even if it's 20 miles an hour faster than the posted speed limit, is not nearly as dangerous as what he did to tell you what you were doing was dangerous.
The worst part was after the ticket, I'm driving back to work, and now I'm very cautious. Like, I'm trying to just go. I don't want to seem like a speeding car. And I'm driving, and I look down. I'm still going 50, and I'm still slower than all the other cars around me. And it just drove me nuts.
Well, as I always talk about, the street speed limit of 35 was probably set in 1952, and the highway speed of 55 came down from 65 and probably 72. And cars are safe. They're modern. They don't feel like they're moving. I mean, you used to really get a sensation of speed. If you guys can think about the cars you grew up in and the cars our parents had, I mean, those things would start shimmying at 40 miles an hour. The brakes were bad. I mean, wind was sort of whistling through those little side. We used to have those weird little side flap windows.
Triangular, and you used to pivot them to get wind in there.
Yeah, it's basically the reason they invented those is so that people could break into their own cars. That's really the only reason you need one of those side wings. When you would lock the keys in your car, you'd take the coat hanger, you'd wedge it through the weather stripping, the rubber, and you'd hook it on that little latch and pop it up, and then you could reach in and unlock the door. That's the only reason those wind wings were ever invented. But when you were going 70 miles an hour on the freeway in my mom's VW Squareback or Dodge Dart, you knew it, man. I mean, you could hear everything. You could smell gas. You could smell transmission and oil fluids. And now you get in the car, you shut. First off, just the sound. You just think about the sound. It is aerodynamic. It is sealed. It is Tupperware quiet inside of that car. Then you crank up your Sirius XM or your podcast or whatever it is you're listening to, and now you've eliminated one of the major sort of components of speed, which is hearing the engine, feeling the wind, hearing the wind. You don't hear anything. And now,
I remember you used to listen to the cars on the Bay Bridge go the other way because my window was down. It was just a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Right.
You really got a sense of how fucking fast you were going.
And now everything is aerodynamic. Everything works. The brakes are big. The car's quiet. And you're just buzzing along. I would bet you're driving a Prius, right?
Yes, sir.
I think the electric car could even add to that lack of sensory.
The silent assassin.
Yeah, it's so much easier just to speed along in that car. So the point is the 35 is antiquated. That's made for cars that are 70 years old now. And the 55 and the 65 are antiquated too. So everyone just drives at a faster clip because it just feels safer. And they don't feel like they're experiencing the sensation of speed. All right. Let me talk to you guys about rye bread. I have specific thoughts about rye bread. I was craving deli food. I had a serious craving for deli food a few weeks ago. And there's no delis by where I live, but I found a place that said it had like deli sandwiches, and I thought, maybe I should go to Arts or Cantor's or something, but that's a long ways away. But this place, if it's good, then I've got my deli sandwich place, and it's nearby. So I got the what was it? The Rueben, I think. Is that the pastrami?
Well, you can do a pastrami Rueben, or the Rueben is typically corned beef.
Oh, the corned beef.
I like the pastrami.
I think. Is it typically corned beef? I thought it was typically pastrami.
No, corned beef.
The Rueben is typically corned beef.
Yeah.
Huh.
You have to get the pastrami Rueben to get, obviously.
I feel like a lot of places. I think a lot of places have caught on because I feel like they just offer the pastrami Rueben just up front, which is what I got.
It's been about 10 or 12 years since I've ordered a Rueben, so maybe times have changed.
I'll tell you the deal. The deal breaker is the bread. The rye bread is too thick and it's too chewy. It's not deli style. My grandfather, the great Laszlo Gorog, he would go to Webby's Bakery on Ventura Boulevard. They had a Jewish bakery. He would order rye in a loaf and he would tell them to cut it thin. And they would cut it thinly. And all the good Jewish delis go with the thin cut rye, which means it's not all bread. It's not all chewy bread, and it gets a little bit moist from the sauerkraut or from the pastrami or whatever the Thousand Island that's on there. And
cheese.
And it works. The problem is when they get the thick, chewy stuff, the bread becomes dominant. My grandfather used to get that bread. He would thinly sliced rye. You could see light passing through it when he held it up. He would toast it. And he would butter it up, and it was a little bit crunchy and not chewy, and it was so goddamn good for a sandwich or breakfast. So I don't know what we're doing with the super fat-ass rye bread, but knock it the fuck off, everybody. Get the thin stuff.
Is that the field of the Goyim? Because I feel like the Jewish delis have a corner of the market on Reubens, and they do the thinly sliced rye.
Yes.
Is it the non-Jews who are cutting it too thick?
It is the Goyim who just decided that more's better and carbs are better and chewy's better than crisp. And like when you order
diminishing returns, my friend.
Absolutely. It's no different than pizza crust. Pizza crust is so much better when it's thin. When it goes south is when it gets thick and chewy. But kids like the thick and chewy stuff. And so dumb people like the thick and chewy bread, but it's no bueno. So knock it off. And there's nothing worse than when you order rye toast, like if you have breakfast and you order the rye toast. I have my grandfather's rye toast in my head, but what shows up is this sponge that's 7/8 of an inch thick, and it's just a big chew fest.
You know who's to blame for this? Sadly, through no fault of their own. I love it. Italian delis, because all their bread is thick, whether it's Dutch crunch or the French roll or the focaccia, whatever roll you're using. Thicker is better with the Italians, but I don't think that translates to Reubens, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, the same rules apply to pizza and that apply to going to the beach. I say it all the time. Either be on the beach where it's dry and safe or be out beyond the breakwater where it's nice and calm. Don't be in the middle. Either get yourself a nice hoagie or grinder or Philly cheesesteak or with the big old hoagie bun on there, or go to the Jewish deli and get the thin. The medium size in between, that's our downfall, people. All right, one last question, and then we'll get on with our lives here. Frank from Cleveland. Frank?
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy.
Hey, so big fan of your motorsports career or hobby or however you want to consider it. I've always wondered if you ever looked or partaken or participated in any of the smaller regional stuff like SCCA autocross or rallycross or anything like that?
I did a rallycross an autocross thing once at Lime Rock, but it was just because I was forced into the car by the guys who own the track and made to go around these cones after the longest day of my life.
You sound like Jeremy or Jason London who's like, they took me and forced me to take drugs.
Yeah. Oh, in Palm Springs? Yeah, it's on YouTube. I'm in a BMW M3. It was, I got up that morning in New York City. It's the day where Matt Fondelier almost died. I got up about 6 a.m.
Long time ago.
That's right. I got up about 6, I did Howard Stern, like in the city, got out of there about 8:30 in the morning or something, jumped into a rental car, drove to Connecticut with the crew. We were going to film the Newman doc, got to Lime Rock. I was going off of 3-4 hours sleep. The day was going to end with like a 9 p.m. flight out of JFK. It was just the longest day in the world. It started with Stern at 6:30 in the morning and was going to end with like a 9:30 p.m. flight out of JFK. And we were going to be hustling the entire time to make it from New York to Connecticut to the track at Lime Rock to Bob Sharp's house. We were going to interview him and then off to the airport. And at some point when I was at Lime Rock, I said, all right, we filmed what we need to film here. Now let's pack it up and get to Bob Sharp's house before we miss our flight. And the guys at the track said, you got to do the rally cross here, or you got to do the autocross. And I was like, ugh, I love driving cars. I'm so goddamn tired. And they just forced me to do it. So I just did it. And then they made fun of me. They were like, oh, hey, he hit a cone. I'm like, yes, I hit a cone. Yeah. I'm fucking sleep deprived. I've never been on this before. I don't know what direction to turn when I get to the end of this straightaway. Yes, I hit a cone. That's how it works.
Broadcasting with Howard Stern 11 hours ago.
Right. And they had a guy who is a professional driver who just does that autocross course. It's like a big parking lot with a bunch of cones put up everywhere. So you have to kind of learn it. I didn't learn it. And then they were like, oh, look at you. You hit a cone and our professional driver beat you. And I was like, yes, that makes sense. He drives this all the time. I never drive it. And I'm falling asleep behind the wheel. They say that being up 18 hours is equal to 0.05 blood alcohol content. And 24 hours is like point 0.1. Yeah, you start to lose it when you've been deprived. And like I said, Fondelier, who was probably with me the whole trip, literally almost died at Bob Sharp's house. He had too many stairs, too much equipment. He wore Biden's loafers, essentially. Like he was not wearing the right shoes. And about the third trip up the stairs, I just looked at his face and it was like red and white at the same time. Like it had no blood in it and all the blood in it. And that's when I told Matt to sit down, but only after he got the next camera rig back up to the top stairs. All right, Tom Papa's going to join us, and then we also got March Madness as well. First, I'll tell you about Stamps.com, trips to the post office, probably not where you want to spend your time these days. Stamps.com, mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer. I've used Stamps here for over 11 years. We send out all the merch, the books, the paperwork. Whether you're a small business sending invoices or an online seller shipping products, or a giant warehouse shipping thousands of packages, Stamps.com lets you buy and print U.S. postage for any letter or any package 24/7 at home, up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Special offer, 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, top of the homepage, type in Adam, get the special deal at Stamps.com, enter Adam. All right, we need to take ourselves a little break, and when we come back, we'll do our next installment of March Madness.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hi guys, I got another bygone trope for you. How about the one where the nerd loses their glasses? They're crawling around on all fours, proclaiming aloud that they've lost their glasses and they can't find them, and then you hear a crunch. Keep it going, baby.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, Dawson's going to lead the March Madness. Is line 3 from Australia still up?
Yeah.
I think I'll talk to him before we jump into this. Michael, 35, Australia? Oh, well, no, he's not up. All right. Well, anyway, if he pops back up, we'll talk to him. Dawson, you ready for our next round?
Welcome back to the Big Rants as we blow through the brackets in March Madness. Yesterday, Elizabeth Warren advanced over AOC in the Big Government Conference, and Ellen danced her way out of the tournament as DJ Khaled moved ahead to another one in the Pop Culture Conference. And in the California Conference, LA's homeless population whacked freeway weeds and trash. So let's pit another 6 of 32 first-round competitors against each other to see which piss Adam off the most. Our next matchup from the Classics Conference. Campus Safe Spaces going up against Waiters and Tipping.
All right, well, in that order, campus safe spaces. Well, we all made fun of these campus safe spaces. So if somebody was coming into town who had ideas that you didn't share, but you couldn't defend your own ideas through conversations in an intellectual debate, some monster like Jordan Peterson was rolling in or Ben Shapiro, we had to create a little safe space for you. We'd put your crayons and your Huggy Bookies in there and your stuffies, and you would go there and stroke a stuffy while Jordan Peterson was talking about evolution or evolutionary biology or whatever the hell he was talking about, which is something that he probably took straight from a textbook, but you're in college, so why would you be interested in new ideas or different ideas? And who decided, by the way, that you should go to college and only have your own ideas echoed back at you? Isn't that sort of the opposite of college? I thought you were supposed to go to college to learn shit you didn't know. I mean, you go to college and you take a biology class or you take a French class, and it's not because you're a biologist, and it's not because you're Parisian. It's because you don't know anything. You don't know anything about French and you don't know anything about biology, but good. You can go to a place and sit and listen to a guy who's older than you, who does know a lot of shit about either biology or speaking French, and then you too could learn more. But somehow the decree went down with the snowflakes and the folks that have been weaned on the teat of the self-esteem movement that other people with their ideas were scary and threatened your safety. Not sure how intellectuals with large vocabularies and a penchant for speaking in public threaten your safety, but of course you feel threatened. And the reason you feel threatened is because your ideas are for shit and you can't defend your ideas intellectually. So you go somewhere and you stroke a panda bear so you feel better. This is just what we need for when the next war breaks out, right? A bunch of college guys who would be officers if we actually had a draft, and then you could bring your fucking Huggy Bookie and your panda bear and your fucking dry erase board and draw unicorns and butterflies and rainbows. But we decided to create a space, which was fine. Now, here's the thing. The safe space would be fine if we just cracked the door and threw a Molotov cocktail in it and then fucking welded the door shut. That would be problem solved. But you assholes are getting out of your safe space and you're now entering populations. And now what was your safe space with your fucking safety retarded ideas have now become society. Your safe space has become everyone's actual space. And now you're going out to the New York Times and you're going to CNN and you're going to all the major Fortune 500 companies and you're taking your fucking weak ass brain with all your horrible ideas who can't tolerate ideas that are different than your own, and you're polluting everyone's space. So the fucking safe space, the fart in the safe space got out of the safe space and now it's stunk up society.
Hit the post.
Yeah, well, that was good. Wait, what was the next one?
Waiters and Tipping.
Waiters and tipping. Now, look, the first things first. This notion of you get to run a business but not pay employees, and that's the conceit, you know? You can go to a restaurant. You can go to a restaurant and spend $80 on a bottle of wine. You can go to French Laundry and spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a meal, as our own Gavin Newsom did, and Bald Bryan attempted a few times as well. I don't get it. When I went to the Waffle House, the poor put-upon, thrice divorced, middle-aged chick who probably had her ovaries and uterus removed earlier that week, she was slinging the hash, she was bringing the plates over, but because you tipped 20% and the bill only came to $26, she got herself like $4 worth of tip. I don't get what's going on. And I don't mind that person getting paid, and I don't mind that person getting tips. My problem comes in the super expensive restaurants because it's based on percentage. Are the plates at the French Laundry heavier than the ones at the Waffle House? I don't think so. Is there any discernible difference other than I get a shitload more money? So the person that works with Christy and Bald Bryan over there, you want to tip 20% on that meal, you're going to be tipping $185. That person got $185 for 2 hours work. By the way, ophthalmologists and orthodontists don't make that kind of hourly fucking wage. Mark Garrigus' billable hours are probably what the French Laundry waitress or waiter makes. And why doesn't the fucking restaurant pay them? I feel the same way with the massage. The massage is like, you're going to Burke Williams. It's $180 for a 50-minute deep tissue massage. And then you go, well, you got a tip on top of that. We're just going to add 25% on top of that. How about Burke fucking Williams pays the person with the GED and 2 months training out of the $180 I just gave Burke Williams? What other job works this way? Doesn't work that way. When you went to the tire warehouse, Maxapata, and they charge you $150 to mount and balance your tire, then did you have to go pay the tire tech separately because the guy behind the counter went, we don't pay people who work here. That's up to you. So here's the conceit. You pay us for the food, you pay us for the massage, and then when we're done, you pay the guy who brought the food and mounted the tire separately. What a fucking ruse. It doesn't work that way at Home Depot. It doesn't work that way at the tire mounting place. It only works that way at fucking restaurants. And no, I don't need the hot 26-year-old who's dating the producer to walk out with $700 in cash every fucking night. And the person I'd really like to have that money is the put-upon middle-aged chick at the Waffle Hut. But she walks out with $37, blisters on her feet, and herpes.
Tough night.
Tough night.
Next
That
up.
was pretty.
Hold on, we got to pick a
That
winner.
was pretty close to call. I need some help from the back, the guys in the back. What do you think? I give the slight edge to tipping, but what do you think?
I'm feeling campus safe spaces because you brought a whole new wrinkle into it this time. The safe space is no longer a safe space. It's the world is their safe space.
They've been released.
That's new. I like that.
Yes, they infected the world.
I was thinking it was going to be safe space before and after your original rant, but after hearing the waiters and tipping, when I lean towards waiters and tipping.
Well, Brian, we got a split in the room, which is no help to you. And sometimes
I'll break the tie and lean towards tipping because that was an inspired performance. I think it was a first round upset. This is like a 7-10 upset.
All right. Second round.
Next up, from our big government conference, Maxine Waters versus Dr. Fauci.
Well, Maxine Waters. I met Maxine Waters 20 years ago doing Politically Incorrect. Approached her backstage. I talked to her about something that was on my mind and Dr. Drew's mind from doing Loveline for as long as we were doing it, the morning after pill. I thought this could save us a lot of unwanted young babies being born and being abandoned by fathers and families, and put a dent in the abortion business, and would be an overall win-win. So I went to Maxine Waters and I said, I don't know if you know about this, and I don't know if you're talking about this, but there's something called the morning after pill, and I think it'd be something for you to get behind. And she looked at me and she said, the science is still out on it. By the way, Maxine Waters doesn't know anything. Well, she's probably an expert in wigs. But other than wigs, I do not know she has a field of expertise. And I love how fucking shitty and dismissive politicians are. Like, no. First off, as if I know nothing. I sit next to Dr. Drew every night and we discuss this in detail. So she dismissed me because why take a good idea? You're only a politician. What good would this do for you? And by the way, you've come here to get some airtime with Bill Maher, not be pestered by what could be a good policy for you and your constituency. So she just brushed me off. But when I looked at her, I looked into the eyes of a crazy woman. I realized this woman is insane. It's funny, I labeled her at the time, 21 years ago, I called her Aunt Esther because Aunt Esther was the crazy fucking aunt from Sanford and Son. She was mean as shit and she was crazy as a fucking bat in a belfry. And I said Maxine Waters is that person. I've heard her speak many times since. I've never heard her string together a sentence that made sense. She's the one that's constantly talking about unity and working together, but soon as she gets a fucking microphone, she's screaming at the crowd to go up and find people and confront them and push back and get in their faces. Thanks for the unity, bitch. Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci. I was agnostic on Fauci. He's a likable guy. He's a little impish. He likes to jog. He's in good shape for an 80-year-old. I think we all see old guys with a 9% body fat and go, that guy's doing something right. I mean, he's not getting high on his own supply, but at a certain point, he started getting drunk on his own spunk. That's right, because he realized I'm a fucking star now. I get to go on Newsweek and I get to go on Rolling Stones and everybody loves me. Fauci, everyone doesn't love you. Everyone hates Trump. And in the era of Trump, all we did was pick a side. We go, if Trump says hydroxychloroquine is good, then we'll say it's bad. If he doesn't like Fauci, then we will love Fauci. But that doesn't mean Fauci's good. That just means he doesn't like Trump and Trump doesn't like him. But all the media got in line and we all got right behind Fauci. And now Fauci's given us pearls of wisdom like even after you're vaccinated, you should still double mask. Really? Then what the fuck good is a vaccination if we all have to fucking mask up? And you can get vaccinated and you can be around other people that are vaccinated, but you can't be unvaccinated. Yeah, no shit. Once you're vaccinated, you're fucking vaccinated, we can get back to life. And I know you got a lot of sunshine blown up your ass by CNN and all the people that want to keep the fucking porn panic train rolling. And then you became a mouthpiece for those people. And then you started walking back policies like teachers can go back to school because it's fucking safe to go back to school once the protocols are in. That's right, because your friends at the news media did not like some of the things you were saying, and then you jumped the shark when someone asked you about gatherings and you said no gatherings are good, no churches, no ball games, no sporting events, no schools. How about Black Lives Matter rally? Well, I can't really weigh in on that. You can't weigh in on gatherings? You just weighed in on gatherings. You said no gathering. And guess what a Black Lives Matter rally is? It's a fucking gathering. So, get consistent. Get on the same fucking page. Or how about you go out for a fucking jog and never come back?
Wow. Much closer than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be a mismatch. Maxine was going to dunk all over Fauci. I need Dawson and Max Patton to weigh in again.
I think the win goes to Maxine Waters. There was a little bit more fire in your voice. You started Dr. Fauci saying he was likable.
Yeah.
None of that with Maxine.
True. Dawson.
Yeah, this is a tough one. They're both compelling rants.
Well, that means I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Because if it's a quick and easy decision, then I'm not doing my job.
I guess I'm going to have to base this on more new material. I got to go with Fauci. It's fresher.
Fresher with Fauci. All right. Well, Brian, and again, we split the room.
These are really good. I'm going to go with Fauci, the first round upset over the number one seed, Maxine Waters.
All right.
Fauci moves on.
And finally, a round from our pop culture conference. It's Little Miss Sunshine versus Prince.
Wow.
Little Miss Sunshine, the movie that single-handedly destroyed our society. That is right. Oh, hey, Adam, what's with the hyperbole? No hyperbole, bitch. This fucking one movie was the movie. It's the demarcation. It's the moment we jumped the shark as a nation in anticipation of obliteration of the family unit. Oh, yeah. We got all the characters there. We got Greg Kinnear. Greg Kinnear is the dad, but he's a dad from a nuclear family. And we don't like the nuclear families. We want the new family where everyone is gay and everyone else is transitioning and the rest of us have tried to commit suicide or took a vow of silence. So Kinnear, playing the father, trying to exalt certain virtues like work hard and stick to it and hustle, trying to earn money for his family. No. He's the bad guy, and the rest of the family wants to talk about the gay uncle who tried to commit suicide because he's the second leading author in Proust, I think. I've seen this movie way too fucking many times. Either way, we all cheered the misfit flunkies in this fucking movie. We had the guy who wanted to be the naval aviator. We had the young kid who wanted to be the fighter jet pilot, except for he took a vow of silence and had no upper body strength. Other than that, he's just what the Navy's looking for in terms of guys who fly F-18 Hornets. And then what about the grandpa, the junkie grandpa? The junkie, by the way, that fucking guy would have been Me Too'd into the next decade by now, because all he did was physically come on sexually to all the other residents of Shady Acres. So this guy gets thrown out of Shady Acres for slamming heroin. He's slamming heroin on the road in the bathroom while his fucking whore daughter, the 9-year-old, is shaking her fucking moneymaker, and he's getting her to dance like a trollop. This is some of the worst human beings on the goddamn planet, but they're all made out to be heroes. And don't get me started on the motorcycle cop who pulled him over and found the Jugs magazine. That was an embarrassing scene. This movie was the beginning of the end of Western civilization. Prince. Well, now, Prince. I'll start off like I started off with Fauci. The man could swing an axe. The man, now, he couldn't swing an actual axe, because if Prince actually picked up an actual axe and threw it over his shoulder, he would land on his ass, because he was a fucking waif model. But he could play the guitar. Everyone loves Prince. My problem with Prince isn't Prince. My problem is how much everyone fucking loves Prince. Yes, he could play the guitar. Yes, he was a great performer. Were his songs good? Not the fucking hits. Go back and listen to that 80s shit. All songs about him getting laid and fucking dry humping an amp and trying to get everyone's pussy wet. By the way, one of the biggest narcissists on the planet. You know you're a narcissist when you're being identified as a fucking symbol, and then you get a guitar made in the shape of the fucking symbol. The real hero in this equation is the guy who operated the bandsaw to make Prince's cymbal guitar. That guy is a journeyman and a fucking warrior. Prince's songs, all about getting laid, all in the 80s. They do not date well. Oh, they date well in your feeble brain because you were 19 and you were getting your dick sucked for the first time. But go back and listen to some of those fucking Prince songs. They suck. No one has the guts to say it. I'm a hero.
What do you think, Brian?
I mean, as great as the Prince rant was, I think Little Miss Sunshine jumped out to a big lead and never looked back. With the domination of the nation. What was the alliteration? It was so great.
I have no idea.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
play that back.
I was just free-forming it.
I think Little Miss Sunshine mopped up on that one.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
All right.
All right. Find the full bracket at adamcarolla.com and tune in tomorrow for more of the big rants. It's March Madness.
Well, Tom Papa is ready to go, so we'll talk to him in a second. First, I'll tell you about Geico. Do you own? Do you rent your home? Will you do one or the other? And it can be hard work. Now, I got something that's easy. Bundle those policies at Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners and renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around the house. Go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could be saving when you get your bundle going at Geico. That is geico.com. All right. Stand-up comedian, all-around good guy, Tom Papa is going to join us next on the Adam Carolla Show. Tom Papa's joined us. Got a live stream comedy special Saturday at 6 Pacific time, and it's on rushtix.com, and also podcast Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Good to see you, Tom.
You too. Nice to see you.
We were playing your bit on marriage from 2010, maybe the Montreal Comedy Festival, which I've heard in its entirety a few times, and it's just such a classic bit.
Thanks, man. 2010. I was pretty happy then.
Yeah. Well,
Changed.
now you're making. Well, let's we can talk about the marriage ref, and I remember doing it with you and Trump and Gloria Estefan and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's right. Holy cow.
But let's go back to the beginning. I think you're often associated with Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know how you guys met. I don't know how that relationship began. But let's talk about, where'd you grow up? When did you start doing stand-up?
I grew up in New Jersey, about a half hour outside of the city. I started doing stand-up when I got out of college in 1993 at the New York Comedy Club in New York. And just started bumming around in New York doing bringer shows and hosting shows and all that kind of stuff. And then like around 97-ish, I think, whenever Seinfeld went off the air, he started coming around by the clubs. And I was at the New York stand-up New York on the Upper West Side, and Seinfeld came in two nights in a row, and I was on stage when he came in. And I started showing off and trying to do my best bits, I saw him I'm not going to repeat what I did yesterday because I want him to know how good I am. And I came off after the second show. He's like, "You're really funny." And he didn't know anyone at the clubs. So I just grabbed onto his coattails and didn't let go.
You guys have similar styles. I'm probably not the first to bring that up. I mean, you guys are, observational and pretty clean, and kind of have like a little bit of the same kind of cadence. Sometimes it's funny because sometimes you'll go, "I like that guy. That guy's really funny," and then someone will go, "Yeah, because he's like you." So in a weird way, you're kind of liking yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And at that point, it was really great. I always say the biggest break was meeting him because he confirmed how I was working in comedy. I was a guy that wrote stuff down and I wasn't really dirty. And so for him to come around at that time when I was questioning, do I have to be Dave Attell? Do I need to get some cigarettes? What do I do here? He showed up and was like, "You're doing great. You're on your way. This is keep doing it," which was really a great thing to hear. But then, of course, as a new guy, you got to be careful because you're hanging out with a guy who's got a very distinct voice. And, you don't want to be Attell, but you also don't want to be Jerry either. You know what I mean? He's all of a sudden, I'm talking about socks coming from the dryer. But he started going back out and he needed someone to open for him. And he took me on the road. And that's when it really started to take off.
How great a workout is that, going out, playing all those dates? I mean, you get to watch Seinfeld work, so you get so much. I don't think people, maybe more so than any other profession, watching other stand-ups work is hugely beneficial. Like watching specials, just being at a club, seeing everyone's style. You're always appreciating. And it's not all good. Some of it is right. I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah.
I do want to do this shit.
Yeah.
So, and you're kind of forced. I mean, you go on the road, right? How many dates would you guys play?
Yeah. I mean, I did it for off and on for 8-9 years of whenever, just folded into my touring would be you'd pick up I was one of 6 guys that he used. And I don't know how many I would do in a year, but I soaked everything in. I knew what an opportunity it was. And I remember his stage manager, his tour manager saying that I was the only opener because I was the new guy. Everybody else had been with him, Mario Joyner and Mark Schiff and Carolla and people like that, and I was kind of the new guy. But I would, when I was done with my little set, I would get a chair and just sit on the side and watch him, and to see like, how do you play with an hour? How do you do an hour? And how is he progressing? And how is he changing? I soaked everything in like a sponge, and I learned a ton. I just learned a ton. And then you go back to, the cellar, and then you watch a bunch of those guys, and you know, like you said, you're picking the stuff that the bad habits you don't want to fall into. But I was getting more of the work ethic from Jerry. It was like, that guy, he would have a bit that killed, and then he would be like working on that bit still. Like, I get a bit, if I get kind of a laugh, I'm like, all right, that's good. That's in the lineup. And he would keep working on it to the point where he would change like just one or two words, and it would make a difference. It would just elevate it. And I was like, all right, so if you really want to be great at this, you have to put in the work. Like you should consider yourself a writer and really pay attention to what you're doing, because yeah, you are funny. Like, you got funny premises, you got funny jokes, you are killing, but you could even get better if you just pay a little more attention to it. That was the biggest takeaway.
It's kind of, as I think about it in life. Yeah. You take, sorry to get too philosophical on you, Tom.
I like it.
Here goes. If you think about any sport, like you take race car drivers. Mm-hmm. Race car drivers, the guys that are perennial all-stars and champions and household names, those guys aren't twice as fast as everyone they beat. They're a couple tenths a lap.
Right.
Maybe hundreds of tenths. Like they're not much. It is not much. You think about the professional baseball player who, starts on the Yankees versus the guy that was great in college. It's not like the guy in college doesn't know what he's doing. It's not like he can't hit. It's not like he can't field. The other guy's just a couple tenths better. And if you kind of think about stand-up, there are plenty of funny guys and tons of people, names you never even heard of. But it's the couple of tenths, the guys like Seinfeld, who just put in that extra time to get those extra couple of tenths out of it.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I really was like, I knew he knew what he was talking about. He was off his TV show. I knew he was the guy. But he literally took a joke of mine, and he was like, it was something, it changed literally like something, I forget the joke, but it was something like, rather than say, in the backpack, say on the backpack. I was like, what?
Right.
I was like, in my head, I was like, yeah, okay. And in my head, I was like, what? This is going to make a difference. And I went up at Rascals in West Orange in front of him, and I did it. And the laugh bumped up. And I was like, oh, man, he's like a scientist, like he really like the minutia, that little tiny stuff, and always work on it, which is really like you're saying, like it's where you get the 1/10. It's like, all right, I've got good jokes, but could I just make it a little better, And that's kind of the hesitance now. Like, there's so many specials out, and people are going so quickly to try and get the next one out. And it's like, as a comedian, if you just let that sit for like one more year, all those jokes would improve. Because some jokes I'll pull out like at a corporate gig that I haven't done in 10 years, and it just happens, somebody says something and it sparks. That joke is such a bigger laugh than anything in the lineup, because it's just, they season, they get better, you get this confidence, it becomes part of you. And it's like, you really, anytime you have free time, it's like you should be spending it thinking about your act a little bit, because it can always get better. I think I heard you talking about this on Sirius XM maybe a couple days ago, about everyone's kind of hustling to get their specials out, and the jokes would be better if they were seasoned a little more. And then also, people aren't really able during COVID to really work that material the way they should or would normally, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely during this time, and there was a lot of people that are getting ready to shoot, and now they've got to like get back out and try and get back in shape. And then, because I mean, we're all funny. Everybody's who's doing it, who's been doing it for a while. I mean, you're comedians, you're funny. But then it just becomes like that second nature thing. It's like, when do you really know it's ready? And I don't know. I mean, I probably wait a little too long, and maybe it doesn't matter. That's a good question for you. Do you think it matters anymore that these are all like, when we came up, it was like, well, your special or your album has to be the greatest thing you've ever done. And now with everything just being content, does it have to be great, or do they just want to see you again?
Yeah, it's kind of like back in the day, if you were going to take a picture or something or film something, you had to get dressed up.
Oh, yeah.
You had to stand in the right. Now it's like
a seating.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you pass a twig on a hike that's shaped like Abe Lincoln's head, and you go, hey, get a shot of that. Like, everyone just, there's not a lot of prep. There's not, and people don't even really think that much about it anymore. Mm-hmm. So maybe with everyone having essentially a camera on their phone and, video camera on their phone, a video doorbell, cops all have cameras on them now. Maybe there's just cameras everywhere. We've grown kind of casual with the whole notion. I mean, look at porn. It's like, yeah, I got a new girlfriend. I'm going to film us fucking. I'll just throw it up on the internet. Why not?
Yeah. That'd be precious.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're not gonna set up a storyline. Let's just get this going. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but there is something to, like, you do want to look back and be proud of your work, but there is that push and pull of, but they also want to see you, so keep it coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to shift gears here because I know you've been deep into bread. I started the podcast today with some hot rye bread talk. So
you did?
Yeah. I like rye bread. I like it thin. I don't like it thick and chewy. I like thin rye bread, like Jewish deli sandwich rye bread. I like to see a little light pass through it. I don't need I don't want to be chewing on a flip flop. I want the thin bread in the sandwich.
You.
You with me?
I'm with you 100%. And I messed around with some rye flour, which is a very tricky flour.
Bold.
It's very porous, but man, I finally figured it out and got like a country loaf that was rye, mostly rye, and I bit into it, and I was like, I want that one from the supermarket where you just open the side and it just, those little rye little slices just fall out into your mouth. I was like, this is a country bread. This isn't the Jewish rye from the deli from New York. I'm with you 100%. And the caraway seeds, I was like, it would take, I don't know what they do is the short answer. I don't know what these clever people do in these delis to get that bread.
Well, it seems to me that the nation could really be divided up into two camps. And I know everyone thinks that way politically, and maybe we should blame Trump for that. But we've been divided over bread as well, because I feel like half the people I know are on the keto diet and not eating any bread, and the other half are making bread. Now, if you would have got hold of these two camps 4 years ago, nobody was on keto and nobody was making bread. Now, everyone is either making bread or not eating bread. That's the entire society.
Ground zero is this very house. At the beginning of COVID, my wife ate loaves and loaves of bread. I've been keto for 2-3 years. I couldn't touch it.
Oh, no.
Smelled amazing. Smelled amazing.
She was making it, right? Was she making
baking bread? She had a sourdough starter that she kept alive.
And the smell in the house just fills it up. That's torture to a keto guy. Forget it.
Do you... Now, I don't want to poison your relationship any more than I probably have in the past, but the idea that you announced you were going keto and she wanted you to help her get a sack of grain out of the back of the Volvo. Do you seem like that's coincidental there? Because I don't know. No, that doesn't feel like a coincidence.
She was taking her pound of flesh and flour for that.
Did you lose a lot of weight?
I lost a few pounds. Yeah, I didn't have a lot to lose, but I tightened it up. I buttoned it up, as they say. Well, question for you though, as pertains to bread and sandwiches and Jewish delis, Tom, do you go for the OG original Rueben, or do you like the pastrami Rueben?
I like the pastrami.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Everyone loves
Yeah.
pastrami. There's
Oh,
no
my
one who doesn't
God.
like pastrami. I love corned beef as well, but everyone likes pastrami, and some people like corned beef.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
basically so. If you're buying for the crew and
Yeah.
you're doing a lunch, always go pastrami. So when did this bread making obsession begin? And then who else is into this? There's other celebrities that are in this as
felt
well.
like, I think Chrissy Teigen really kicked off a little windstorm of bread baking. And it all happened at the beginning of COVID, beginning of lockdown. A lot of people I know started baking their own bread. It became a thing on Instagram or whatever. And my wife, Chrissy loves to cook and loves to bake and blah, blah, blah. She just started making bread. Probably lasted for
you
6
couldn't get
months.
flour. You couldn't get
Yes,
flour. So people
exactly.
were like, well, if I have the sourdough starter, I can make bread from that. I had been doing it for probably 5 years before the pandemic.
Oh.
And I had a writer friend that was just telling me, I never heard of the sourdough starter, this living yeast.
You gotta
that
keep it
in your
alive.
fridge. And yeah, you got to keep feeding it flour and water. And I told my daughter about it at dinner, just how weird it was. And she got one started for me and gave it to me for Christmas. And I started baking bread. And I got good at it. And I don't know what it was. I was writing my first book at the time. And I was home a lot, and it was just like, it was in the rhythm of like being in the office and doing the bread, and I kept getting better at it, and it just kind of took over. And now I can't stop eating it or making it. I'm the weird guy in the neighborhood now who's like shows up at your door like, hey, I have some extra bread.
We did the same thing. We gave it away to our neighbors.
Yeah. And some people love it, and other people are like, why are you doing this during COVID, you freak?
I don't know if you've gone down the pumpernickel road, but I feel like
The famous Pumpernickel Road.
yeah, I feel like pumpernickel underrepresented. I feel like that was a pretty big part of my childhood. There was definitely room in my life for pumpernickel, and first off, I just like saying pumpernickel. That's a great sounding word. It sounds like Dr. Seuss, created a little gnome named Pumpernickel. Professor Pumpernickel. I mean, it's a great name. We should all be saying it. You know what I mean? Sourdough. That doesn't roll off the tongue. So it's got the word sour and dough in it. Hey, how would you like this creation? What's it called? Sourdough.
What does it taste like?
I was literally just talking with our buddy Colin Quinn yesterday, and he hates sourdough. I'm like, why do you hate sourdough? He's like, well, what's with the sour? He goes, Sour Patch Kids, terrible. Sourdough, terrible. Yeah,
Maybe.
He just hates the word sour.
Maybe pumpernickel went the way that dodo because we started to hedge our bet and swirl in a little white bread in the middle of it. Like maybe it just became too much. Like you guys aren't ready for pure, unstepped on Bolivian shale pumpernickel. So we're just going to step on it with a little white flour, make it kind of palatable for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when that came across. I didn't need the pumpernickel with that little galaxy of white in the middle of it.
Yeah, a rude violation.
What is that?
I was the same. I had a German grandfather, and it was all those darker breads, the pumpernickels and those like dark ryes and all of it. And during COVID, I would sit on my iPad at night and fantasize about going to places that seemed like they had their act together. And I started thinking that would be a great go, because I love those pumpernickels. I love those breads too. I want to go to like the Netherlands and Copenhagen and Germany and go on like a bread vacation.
Bavarian bread.
Yeah. I literally want to go to those bakeries.
Tom's next special is all bread material.
That's right. Well, I'm going to ask Chris, what is that pumpernickel that has the white swirl galaxy in the center of it? Are we still calling that pumpernickel? Because it doesn't feel like your grandpa's pumpernickel.
No.
Yeah, I'm seeing it's a pump swirl bread, deli rye and pumpernickel swirl.
There you go. Look, here's
Van de Kamp shit.
Or marble rye bread.
Look, here's it. If you're going to do that,
Marble rye.
do a sandwich that has one slice of pumpernickel and one slice of egg bread. And just go suicide, like 50-50 on it. No, it's kind of interesting. No one ever breaks up the bread. We're looking at it now. Somebody, you know what? The same guy the same guy
I've never
who
seen you so angry.
I'm angry because I like pumpernickel. I like
Late
it the way
entry in March Madness.
your grandfather and may they rest in peace. May they rest in peace, because they certainly wouldn't be if they're aware of the swirled pumpernickel.
Maybe that represents them spinning in their grave.
They're probably on a spit right now, thinking about this pumpernickel. You know who I blame for this abortion, this atrocity, this war crime against pumpernickel? I blame the guy who got happy at the coffee place with the latte, where he's going to put a little heart in there. At some point, somebody wanted to show off their artistic skills instead of baking or making coffee.
But I feel like the pumpernickel violation happened early, because I remember being at a lot of like bad like football dinners or like any kind of big functions. They would break out that role like they were being fancy. Like I feel like I saw that a lot in my childhood.
Well, then maybe this is turning into a Seinfeld bit, but it's really like you going, I'm kind of in the mood for pumpernickel, but I don't fully want to commit to pumpernickel.
What are my options?
Yeah, what are my options?
I'm gonna go to work on a pumpernickel and get it to you.
Please. Oh, that would be awesome. The other aforementioned egg bread. I like egg bread. I ironically like egg bread with egg salad. I know it seems like egg on egg crime, but do not sleep on the egg bread in the egg salad sandwich. An underutilized sandwich, by the way. I feel like we get 10,000 turkey sandwiches for every egg salad we order, but egg salad much more satisfying.
I love an egg salad. Yeah. Oh, the keto spoke up.
Yeah, I know. It's protein. You're killing it. Chris has pictures of my wife's sourdough bread. Oh my God! Look at
Nice. Good job.
God.
I broke down and had a bite because it'd be
Yes.
God damn, it was good.
This literally looks like my house.
Yes, so good.
Wow.
She's good. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she got really good at it actually.
Yeah, she really hates you.
There's a referendum on our relationship.
But you
I
have
will
to
work on it.
You can't bake. You can't be as prolific as your wife and Tom are without handing a bunch of shit to the neighbors, right?
Absolutely.
You can't just bake away. You're going to have tons of loaves of bread in your kitchen, right?
3/4 of
Yeah.
the loaves went out the door to friends or neighbors or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I literally this morning was looking up the egg breads because Easter's coming. And
This wasn't. I didn't prompt you to do this.
No, I literally this is what I scroll through when I'm sick of the news. I was looking up the egg breads, and I was like, there's really no difference between the egg bread and the challah bread. They're kind of the same bread. And I've started making challah a couple months ago, and it's a good bread. You know, that bread is really good for French toast the day after. Oh.
You know what's not working for me? Wraps. I don't like the wraps. I don't like the wraps because the shelf life on a wrap's good for 10 minutes, and then the fucking thing gets soggy because there's not enough there.
Unless you're in an airport where they somehow last for a month and a half.
Yes. I think they do that because they need a food you can walk and eat with, and that's where the wrap kicked in. All right.
You know what you need?
Holla.
Oh, yeah.
Holla.
All right. So we're keto. We're not keto. We're baking. We're not baking. Do you have a bread maker, or is that considered gauche? Like, is that amateur hour? The bread making machine?
Gauche. Oh,
It's bullshit.
oh,
Not
yeah.
good,
That's no. That is like that's it's an offense.
Really?
You think the marble rye is an offense?
That'd be like a microwave in the French Laundry. Like you
Really?
would not see a microwave in that kitchen.
Yeah.
Or a can opener.
I didn't know because the bread makers were all the gift-giving rage like 20 years ago. People
For
get weddings and, holidays. They got you the bread maker.
Here's a question for you. I was just going through this with my wife. That seems like the bread maker was around when the electric can opener was around and the electric knife. Do you own either of those things?
The electric can opener is one of the few items that we went from a sort of manual version, and then we stepped up like, oh, this electric's going to be that much better. And then we decided it took up too much room. And also, here's the real downfall of the electric can opener. Once your dog recognizes the sound of the electric can opener, good luck opening a can of beans or tomato sauce. That fucking dog is charging in there like it's a Chuck Wagon commercial.
You couldn't be sneaky anymore.
No, you want to do the hand one. That's stealthy, man. You're a fucking ninja with that thing. You take a dish towel, you put it over your hand, you turn it slowly. The dog's sleeping, and you're looking at the dog sleep. You fire up the electric can opener. Dogs are born with that knowledge. They don't even have to learn it. They're literally born with the sound of the electric can opener, which means dinner, and they come charging into the kitchen. That's why you got to get rid of them.
It's really true. We all had them. It was like a modern marvel, and now we're all back the other way.
Right.
It's in that category too. The electric or any kind of a weird wine opener for like a hot minute. People got the electric wine opener, and nothing ever worked as well as just the one with the wings. The one up and down.
Nothing works as well as that.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody, here's how you know you've arrived. You have a drawer full of wine-related gifts that you'll never use. Like this one takes a CO2 cartridge, and then what it does, you have those. It's a hearing aid battery, and then a CO2 cartridge, and then what you do is you put it on top of the bottle, you turn it toward Mecca half a turn, and then the cork explodes, but it fires CO2, so you don't need the decanter. But we got you the decanter anyway. There's so many weird devices, and that weird one with the jumping jack flash and the two arms that your grandparents had is the most effective. That's all you need.
That's really it. You don't need a lizard with a tail that you put the wine in, and it holds it.
Oh, it aerates it. Really, I drink it out of the bottle.
The one with the CO2 cartridges, it's amazing.
We did too. Comes with a pouch.
And you can pour a sip of the wine from the bottle without taking the cork out. It's spectacular.
I do there's a hand tooled leather case with your initials embossed into it. Like, I'll take this when I travel. So everyone knows I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, it's a drawer full of stuff you can never throw away. Because it was expensive. They got it at Sharper Image at the airport. That was a gift, what I mean? But you'll never use it because it takes 20 minutes just to read the instructions on the thing.
The same with the flask. I have all these flasks, these nice flasks that people... What alcoholic is pulling those out at your kid's dance recital?
Sorry. Well, here's where the flask went the way of the dodo. Yes, it is true. Right. When you get to a certain station in life, you start getting flasks as gifts. They'll put your logo or your initials or something on there, and you have tons of flask. And then you've never felt more like an alcoholic than when you put the mini funnel that comes with the flask and you're trying to dump the booze into it. It's if you don't do it in front of a mirror, because if you spot your reflection while you're trying to get it into this thing, that's a bad sign. But I think the flask probably went the way of the dodo as far as the never-ending kids volleyball tournament in Orange County, and I need a little something to take the edge off. Everyone starts getting the spritzer cooler, they start getting the bubbly water things, and then they just dump a little vodka into the top. I guarantee if you took tickets at one of those kids volleyball tournaments and you stood by the front door and you told everybody who walked in who was carrying one of those cans, let me have a draw off that. They would immediately panic and run.
Run the other way. I have the binoculars. The binoculars are hollowed out.
Oh, nice.
Haven't used them since the USC days, but they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, that comes in a gift pack with the helmet with the two straws coming down.
That's a little less obscure, but yeah, you're right.
I looked like a stud the other day because I had to open a wine bottle. And I was at a place where I didn't have a wine opener. I didn't have the corkscrew. I didn't have anything. But I had a cordless drill, a wood screw, and a hammer with a claw on the end of it. And I just sunk that wood screw right into the top of it. I left about a half inch out. I took the claw of the hammer and I hooked it. Then I put it on the ground and put my feet on it.
That's a man.
Now, I shouldn't have rolled over on my back, but either way, hindsight being 2020, and I just popped it right out with that hammer claw. But yes,
That's
I think we could probably fill a storage container, just the three of us, if we open that drawer that's under where the wine goes and all the crazy booze-related devices that are connected to that.
So stupid.
Yeah.
All the different giant things that you're supposed to plug the wine stuff
the stoppers.
with. There's like 12 stoppers of different sorts. Yeah,
then
but we can't throw them out. Why don't we just throw these things out? We can't throw them out.
There's the one. There's the one you have to pump. We're going to remove all the air from the wine. Just drink the whole bottle, and then we won't have to worry about this. All right, Tom Papa is hanging with us. We're going to take a quick break, right? Yeah. We'll do the news. Tom's going to jump in. Dawson's going to do the news, and we'll do that right after this.
The news with Mike Dawson. All right, let's start in Florida. Why don't we? Lots of fun happened there over the weekend. A party-ending curfew imposed after fights, gunfire, property destruction, and dangerous stampedes broke out among huge crowds of people in Miami Beach. Well, the curfews could extend through the end of spring break. Caitlin's going to put up some video of exactly what kind of went down there. Miami Beach commissioners have voted unanimously on Sunday to empower the city to extend the curfew until at least April 12th, shutting down spring break pretty much. But people are not obeying
just fighting
the
in the
curfews.
street.
It's all girls.
It's all girls. Jesus Christ. Wow.
I love how they start fighting in heels and they all end up barefoot.
Yeah, they all get down to the bras and barefoot, and I've long theorized that this is where the hair extensions were invented, not for an aesthetic, but to actually break away,
Quick release,
like a lizard's tail.
Yeah,
that is that I will escape the grasp of this foe when my hair gives way. Wow, this is insane. So I think there needs to be a new rule. If we have a year-long lockdown, we must cancel the closest spring break to after the lockdown every year, because I think a lot of this is people sitting at home making bread, drinking wine out of bizarre contraptions, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone just get let out of prison on the same day. It's just it is bedlam.
Well,
it's Sodom and Gomorrah.
It is.
Yes.
More than 1,000 people have been arrested. 80 guns have been seized.
Whoa.
And there's just a lot of, I guess you could just call it a COVID release. People are just going crazy. Caitlin's going to put up another video of a shirtless man waving an American flag, painted face like the Joker, and listen to this guy.
Oh, my God.
Fucking COVID's over, man! COVID's over, baby! Fuck yeah!
And he just made it rain. He threw a bunch of money in the air. I do not understand this insanity.
You know what? I didn't realize at the beginning of this that all we had to do to end COVID was yell "It's over" really loud.
And then wrestle on the ground.
If only we'd known that sooner.
You know who I blame? I blame Hollywood. I blame the Hollywood elites for this, because I grew up watching almost exclusively film break movies that were themed a film break. It was always the best 80s movies was the Daytona Beach spring. There was always a good excuse to show titties, and they'd have the guy who's the big man on campus, and there would be the hot chicks. There were a lot of spring break themed movies, and I don't think these kids have seen them, because I don't think they understand how spring break works. Spring break works is you and your buddies go down to Palm Springs or Daytona Beach, you have a couple of brewskis, and you try to get laid. It's not about morbidly obese chicks fist fighting in the street. There was never a scene. And I watch all the director's cuts, by the way. No.
Yeah, you were never like saying, "Let's go to Florida," and then reached under your dorm room bed and grabbed your guns.
No, it was all about trying to get laid and trying to get drunk. But it was never about chicks fighting in the streets. And maybe
God.
Maybe the chicks aren't making it challenging enough to get laid because that was a calorie burner for the guys and for the girls. It took a while to get laid there on spring break. Now, if you see chicks naked fighting in the middle of the boulevard, you probably figure their sensibilities aren't very delicate. I think asking for a hand job would not be out of line at this juncture, right? I mean, considering.
Can I get in there?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah. And a Krispy Kreme Donuts is getting into the vaccination game with a new promotion. Through the end of 2021, Krispy Kreme Donuts is offering people who got the vaccination and can prove it with their card one glazed donut. It's interesting because of the connection between obesity and COVID deaths. And so it's splitting people into two camps. Some folks are pissed about something they really shouldn't care that much about, and some folks are just way too excited about one free donut.
It should come with a diabetes shop.
Right.
And
forget the COVID vaccine.
Does anyone go into Krispy Kreme and just leave with one donut?
No.
I don't think so. I think Krispy Kreme knows this.
I don't think it's allowed.
I think they're pulling a scam. They're doing the same thing the auto dealer does when they go, oh, we got a recall on your Explorer. There's a solenoid that needs to be replaced for $60. And then you bring it in. They go, oh, no, it's free. And then you drop it off and they go, your brakes are shot.
Right.
And it's time for an oil change. And that filter, that cabin filter, whatever that thing is, that needs to be changed at great expense. So we'll give you the solenoid for free, but it's going to be $1,300 for the rest. So maybe Krispy Kreme knows they're going to get these people in.
I think so.
And buying.
Yeah, they're gonna upsell them in the end.
Where are you guys on the Krispy Kreme?
Haven't had one in 5 years.
They're a little intense. They're a little intense. I like a donut too, but this is just like a 2x4 right to the forehead. They're like
Tom, you're a dough snob. You think you could do better, don't you?
He's made better donuts at home.
Yeah, that's right. No, I can make a good bagel, but I don't mess with donuts.
I like a cake or an old fashioned or buttermilk. So the Krispy Kreme is the raised ones that I'm not as big a fan of. But all right,
Probably the best example of a raised donut, right? But
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's it's second tier.
Second tier to the buttermilk. Mm-hmm.
All right, next up,
buttermilk, much better dunking donut. You know what I mean? The
little heft.
The glazed one, those things are like hermetically sealed. You could drop it into the coffee and pull it out. It'd be the exact same shape it was before it went in. Yeah. It's been Simonized. It's an old reference for Tom.
Thank you.
Well, a wax figure of former President Donald Trump has been removed from a display at Louis Tussaud's Waxworks in San Antonio, Texas. Why? Because customers kept punching it.
San Antonio?
San Antonio, Texas. They've always had trouble with the presidential section because no matter who the president is, Bush, Trump, Obama, they've had people who beat them up. So he told the newspaper out there that the Trump figure was beaten badly enough to leave deep marks on its waxy face, necessitating its move to storage. Before President Barack Obama's wax figure lost its ears 6 times. People ripped off Obama's ears. And George W. Bush's figure's nose was punched in. And the leader of the museum just says, people are just simply aggressive about their political party.
Sounds like you need to put them in one of those little Pope mobiles.
Yeah.
Just kind of get some plexiglass.
A wax Air Force One.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to have a ton of lucite that we have no use for anymore in 4 months, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everyone's going to be, there's going to be all the dividers and all the restaurants and all the establishments. We're just going to have tons and tons of lucite, right? Seems like we could stitch some of that together and make an appropriate enclosure for the presidents. Also, I would say, between the curfew in Miami for spring break because chicks can't stop fighting in the streets and guns can't stop being wielded, and we can't have a representation of the president without it being punched. We have to remove it now. We're starting to slide as a society. You see what I'm saying? These are indicators. You know what I mean?
Starting.
Yes, we're halfway down the slope on this toboggan run to hell. But the notion that we cannot have a representation of a president without it being punched, or that we got to shut it down in Miami when the streetlights come on because women can't stop punching each other in the streets, that's a sign that maybe the educational system isn't what it could be.
It's really true. All this clamoring to get back out of our houses, I don't know if I want to go back out.
That's a good point.
On to some music news. One of your favorites, Adam. Crowded House has a new album coming out in June. It's called Dreamers Are Waiting. It'll be out on the 4th of June. Crowded House recently played a New Zealand concert.
The Finn brothers, right?
Yes, just this past weekend on the 19th of March, I believe it was, to a fully packed arena. Kaylin's going to put up a picture of the album cover really quick, and then we'll take a look at... So that's the new album coming out on June 4th. No tracks advanced yet, but I'll be looking for those in the upcoming days and let you know when they come out. Here is a clip from their most recent show playing one of your favorite songs.
Hey now.
This is post-COVID New Zealand.
Wow.
I don't know why sometimes I get
I love that band.
I love that band too.
Now, no masks, no distancing, big crowd, huge festival concert. And you'll remember that New Zealand had imposed incredibly harsh lockdowns right at the beginning of this. It appears that they, I guess, did it right. I know they're an island nation, so it's a lot easier to shut yourself off to the rest of the world, but they were out in 102 days.
Wow.
And here we are over a year later.
Yeah, that was in the article that I alluded to earlier. New Zealand's a paradigm of success for COVID dealing, and of course they're an island, like Dawson alluded to, but their people were extremely compliant early on. They were all on board.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
they're
amazing.
very malleable people, those Kiwis. I know we've heard it. I know I've said it many times, but it's never been truer. Oh man, imagine what it'd be going like to go to a concert, be amongst people with their shirts off, partying, having a good time,
Singing, dancing, yelling, hugging, clapping.
Wouldn't it be great?
It would be awesome.
Would be. Yeah. Well, let's stay in music news. This one coming from the misleading headline category. Elton John opens his Oscar night party to all this year. What? Attending Elton John's long-running Oscar night
all
party,
the nominees or something, right?
has always been one of the hardest tickets to get. Now you can go if you have $20. And yes, it's virtual.
Oh,
so it's not, you're not going to a damn party. You get tickets through Ticketmaster. The event's going to be hosted by Neil Patrick Harris. They're going to do it in separate time zones. So this party's going to replay a new party in different time zones. And they could raise quite a bit of money for Elton John's AIDS Foundation. So, hats off to him. But you're not actually going to Elton John's Oscar party. There's a reason why it's a tough ticket to get.
I feel like it's feast or famine with Elton John. Like, if you guys are on good terms, that's the greatest guy in the world to know. But do not cross Elton John. Because that kitty has claws.
Oh, yeah.
I never understood. Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics, right?
Yes.
And Elton wrote all the music, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have hung out a little longer and done the lyrics. I don't feel like you did the hard part. You play the piano, you write these beautiful, beautiful songs. I wouldn't know if the lyrics were much different. I feel like he didn't need Bernie. Was he attracted to Bernie?
No, Bernie was not
Bernie's
gay.
straight.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean Elton couldn't have taken a shining to him back in
might
the
have.
day,
Yeah.
sure there was a night or two.
But got the word top right in his name. Burn. But either way, I don't know. I don't feel like I like Bernie Taupin. I think those are beautiful songs, but I don't think he was as necessary. I feel like I do also feel like Elton John, the bitch is back. You know what I mean? He could have written that song. That's essentially his truth, right? No. Did Bernie Taupin write the bitch is back? And all it is bitch is back.
Yes, he did.
Yes, Bernie Taupin wrote that one. I think the only Elton John hit that Elton John wrote was it Crocodile Rock, maybe? Did he write that one?
No, Taupin wrote the lyrics for Crocodile Rock as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Elton should have challenged. Next time I see Elton, I'm going to explain this to him.
Go show up at his party.
Yeah, he should have challenged himself. Yeah, I got $20.
$20. You got $20.
In the movie, they show Bernie Taupin writing Rocket Man, the movie. They show him having come up with the lyrics for Crocodile Rock. I think they had a divorce in the 80s or 90s, and that's when Bernie Taupin maybe didn't write some of those. I'm still standing. I'm guessing.
There was a small stretch where they were not working together.
All right, I'm gonna revise my statement because I don't want to go on with you like that. That is not a good. Those aren't good lyrics.
Remember "Oh Nikita"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh Nikita.
That was a really, really terrible song.
How about I'll tell you where Bernie earned his money is Island Girl. She'll rap her. She's all right. We got to get the lyrics, but she's black as coal, but she burns like fire, and she'll wrap herself around you like a well-worn tire.
Damn,
that sounds
poetry.
Hot to me.
Oh yeah,
poetry. So did
no
Elton
gay guy could have done that?
Did he not write the stuff to Princess Diana, the Candle in the Wind stuff?
Well, that was. Oh, you mean that's
it was
interesting.
First written for Marilyn Monroe, and then rehashed to Princess
right.
Diana. Elton did do the Princess Diana thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Did he do the Marilyn Monroe one?
I think that's another Bernie. Chris?
Yeah, Bernie wrote the
And he
lyrics.
didn't write the Lion King stuff either.
Yeah, Bernie didn't write the Lion King stuff.
That was
Tim Rice.
Andrew Lloyd Webber. It was a famous.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Who wrote
stage.
Satisfaction?
That's Richard Jagger.
But Adam, you love lyrics so much. I'm surprised you're not giving Bernie Taupin his due. Like he's put on this earth to write the lyrics, and Elton John writes these great melodies, and together it's greater than some of his parts.
I feel like if somebody said to Elton, "You are in charge of music and lyrics," he could have come up with stuff. That's all. I like Bernie. I like the songs. I love lyrics, as stated clearly with Island Girl, but I just feel like Elton could have done it. That's all.
Could have lived with a pocket man.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's go back to Florida. A Florida middle school principal and her daughter have been arrested for allegedly hacking students' accounts to cast homecoming votes. Teenage girl and her mother, who's an elementary school assistant principal, they were arrested. The woman, 50, her 17-year-old daughter, they've been charged with offenses against computers, unlawful use of a two-way communications device, criminal use of personally identifiable information, and conspiracy to commit the offenses. I love how just committing the offenses is not enough. They can get you for conspiracy to commit the offenses. So that's going to be some kind of added charge. But apparently what they did...
Well, they're in Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those ladies who were fighting in the street are from Florida. Mm-hmm. I hope they end up in the same prison. Because
how'd you get here?
What are you in for? Who'd you beat up? Nah, I was just casting some votes for my daughter and homecoming queen. That's going to be a tough sell in the joint. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's going to have to get her story straight because they're going to make short work of her.
Well, the investigation came around after hundreds of votes for Tate High School's homecoming court were flagged as fraudulent, with nearly 120 votes coming from the same IP address within a short period of time. So investigators looked into it, and the mother was trying to get her daughter elected as homecoming queen.
But that's still a lot more than our parents would have done for us when we were in high school, right?
God.
Oh, yeah. They wouldn't even know you were running.
Yeah, I could barely get my dad to come to a high school football game, and he lived across the street. Forget about casting ballots. My son, the homecoming queen. Yeah, poor kid. Yeah. So I appreciate the mom. I do. It may be, it may be illegal, but it shows effort. I like that.
Well, it looks like there is going to be approval of yet another COVID-19 vaccine, AstraZeneca, the one you'll remember a couple of weeks ago. They were worried about blood clotting problems in Europe. They've discovered that was just some kind of anomaly. It's very, very rare. That vaccine has already been approved in worldwide, except for the United States. But it's one step closer for American use. We're probably going to get that within the next couple of weeks.
Tom, have you gotten your vaccination yet?
I have. I go for my second one on Sunday.
All right.
So I think we're at you guys tell me, I think today marks the perfect day to ask people if they've been vaccinated. And the reason I say that is because if you asked 3 weeks ago, everyone went, no, I don't know where to get this shit. And if you asked a month from now, most people are going to go, yeah, now is the perfect question day, right?
Sure.
When I asked if Tom Papa had been vaccinated, did any of us know the answer in advance?
Could have gone either way.
Could have
Coin
gone
toss.
either way. Today is coin toss day on vaccinations. Tom
you, Adam?
asked me if, what?
How about you, Adam?
No, I haven't. See, perfect coin toss here.
Could have gone either way.
That's right. I can't blow a call into Seinfeld and tell me to hook me up. How did you get it?
My wife is a teacher, and she had the last appointment at CVS in West Hollywood. And there was an old woman there who was at the wrong CVS. She had made an appointment at another CVS, and she was yelling at the people, like, I'm not going to go. This is CVS. And they're like, fine. Just to shut her up, they opened up another vial, and they had 4 more shots in it. And they actually came up to the security guards when I was checking out, buying some stuff with my daughter, and the security guards didn't want to take it. They're like, no. And the pharmacist was like, you're going to have to take it eventually. They're like, nah, I don't know about it. I don't know. And I just shot my hand up. I'm ready to go.
Wow.
And I got it. Yeah.
Wow.
Vaccine hesitancy is a thing.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. So I got to get it. And now Sunday I'll go. And I'm a little worried because I'm Moderna. And they say the second one is the one that people have a little bit of a hard time with. It could mess you up for a day or two. You can feel a little fluey. So they say take lots of fluids. And,
Also, though, I do feel, I mean, I don't want to defend the security guards, but if someone just came walking toward me with a syringe, I might just go, I'm out. I mean, I'm good. We're good.
Get over here.
Come on, you little devil. Let me hook you up. I don't know you, but I'm fine. I mean, it may have just been a reaction. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
If you give them 15 minutes to think about it.
So
I jumped all over it.
You just literally just overheard this conversation and said, I'm in?
Yeah, because my wife was, you get and then you have to sit there for 15 minutes after the shot to make sure everything's okay. And this woman was her husband had gotten it there, and she made her appointment mistakenly at the other place. So and I have to say, she was really putting on a show, because when she's like, I am in the wrong CVS, in a very heavy accent and acting confused, and I don't know how to even get there. And after she got it, we were walking with them to the parking garage, and she was like, oh, good for you guys. Yeah, that worked out well.
Wow. Now, look, I don't want to tell your business as a comedian, but if those security guards were watching you being vaccinated, you should have flopped on your back and gone into a seizure and had those two give a knowing nod to one another.
Oh, what a mistake.
Just screaming, no, my arm.
All right, let's do one more, Dawson.
All right, well, over in Pennsylvania, a top aide to district attorney in suburban Philadelphia has been demoted. Not fired, just demoted, because he was caught moonlighting for DoorDash during work hours. Yep, prosecutor Greg Shore was demoted. He's no longer the office's first assistant district, I don't know what he was demoted to, but $125,000 a year was not enough for this guy. So he started delivering McDonald's to people.
It's a side hustle.
During work hours. He made no excuse of it. He said it was a very poor decision to deliver during the work day at times, but they didn't fire the guy. They're giving him another chance and just a little demotion.
What's DoorDash etiquette? How does tipping work with these guys? I've never done this.
I've not done DoorDash, but I've done Instacart. It's all included. It's
You
all
can tip
included.
inside the app on your phone, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to give more, you can. But
Yeah,
it's
like-
built in.
Typically, after you get your food, it'll say, how was it? You give a rating, and if you'd like to add a tip, you can do it on your phone.
I was
Postmates has this thing where if you forget, then you go like 2 days later, you go to order something, you open the app, and it comes up. It's still waiting for your tip. If you
Oh,
wanna put
really?
An extra tip on, and and you gotta, after 2 days later, the relationship's kind of worn off. It's tough to hit the 25% button.
I took an Uber to the airport last week, and I've realized we need some sort of way to indicate you're going to make phone calls from the back of the Uber, because I get a lot of chatty drivers, and you put the earbud in, and then your phone rings, but they don't hear it, and then you go, how's it going? And they go, it's going good, boss, from the front seat. And now you're in this weird, and now I feel elitist going, you can't talk to me. I'm talking to an important person. There needs to be just those things that never work, but you would put them on the washing machine at home, be clean dishes,
clean and
dirty
dirty.
dishes, all that stuff where they go, fed the dog, didn't feed the dog. It's only as good as the people in your house, by the way. Because what they do is then they forget to reset it or return it, whatever. Now it's a fucking ball of confusion. But there needs to be a phone thing in the Uber, right? You flip something because it's 45 minutes to the airport. I'm taking 7 calls at that point, but the guy always, and the problem with all calls, they start with, hi, how's it going? You know what I mean? And the person thinks I'm talking to them.
I don't know if this counts as shitting on your point. It's been a year plus since I've taken a Lyft or an Uber, but I know you're technically limited, but there is an option for quiet.
Oh, there is. But then
when you call the car, it's like I prefer a quiet ride or whatever.
But I am fine talking to the guy, usually about his country of origin or something. This guy was Filipino, Chris. But at some point, I do like chatting with the Uber guy. But then the phone rings in the middle of the chat. You answer it, and now we're going down this road.
Just make a little noise with your mouth. Bring. Oh.
Or
Excuse me.
instead of saying hello or hi or how's it going, you have to answer the phone like a 70s private eye. Tana here. Because then they know you're doing it. That's my biggest part of all 70s TV shows is all the cool captains and the PIs and stuff. They never went, hello. They're always like, Hutch, Starsky. Yeah.
Robinson.
Or they just pick up the phone and go, yeah. Didn't these fucking wives ever call them? Like, how fucking pissed would the wives be? Yeah. Tana.
Carolla here.
Sorry.
Well, this deputy DA paid back the money that he made while delivering food, paid back for those hours by using unused vacation time. So no harm, no foul. But it's interesting how difficult it is to get fired from a government job.
Yes.
The district attorney said he cited the, quote, importance of redemption and second chances. That's the reason they're keeping the guy on the payroll. I don't buy
It's like a
it.
fable. It's like a fable.
All right. Should we bring the news home? We have an outro.
That's the news. Thank you.
Tom Papa, the live stream comedy special, Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific time on Rush Tix. That's TIX.com is where you go. And also the podcast, Breaking Bread with Tom Papa as well. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Live shows coming up. Omaha, Nebraska. That's the waiting room. That's April 17th. And then Kansas City, the Comedy Club of Kansas City. That'll be April 22nd through the 24th as well. Thanks for joining us, Tom.
Great to see you again, Adam. Great to see you. Always a great show. Miss you guys.
Yeah, come in person after you get your second shot, and we'll laugh it up, brother.
All right, I'll be there. For
All
sure.
right. And last but not least, there is Jordan Harbinger, the Jordan Harbinger Show, a different kind of sponsor for this episode, the Jordan Harbinger Show. Wide range of fascinating topics and guests, like a professional art forger that made millions while being chased by the feds and the mafia. And Jordan speaks a bunch of languages. I think he's been abducted a few times. Really had some interesting life experiences, and he is more than happy to share them with you. Apple named it one of the best of 2018. You always find something useful to apply to your own life. That's right. Good life hacks. We enjoy the show. Drew and I listen quite often, and we bring Jordan on as well. So you're going to enjoy it too. Search the Jordan Harbinger Show. That is HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, and GER on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. We'll see you guys Thursday night, Jam at the Van, and we're all going to be there, so come on out and say hi. Zany's coming up, doing a live pod there April 14th. Go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows, and check out our Pluto TV station, 585. Got a lot of good material there. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Bald Bryan and Tom Papa saying mahalo.